Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from Lord of the Lost, Weapons of Mass Seduction, out December 29th on Napalm Records. This release has 22 tracks, 95 minutes in length, and this is an all-covers compilation. And they are a German goth rock band. Now, as far as these 22 songs, 95 minutes, they're divided across 2 CDs, each one of them with 11 songs. Disc 1 is all brand new covers, all brand new material. Disc 2 is songs that already have been released, but now they all found a home under one single umbrella. And that's kind of the beauty of this compilation, is to have all of these covers under one single umbrella so you can enjoy these moments and know exactly where to go for it in order to get them. The way they separated these 2 discs is not just about new material versus existing material. I think when you look at the sound, when you look at the experience, when you look at the atmosphere, Disc 1 is a little bit more connected to Blood and Glitter. You see that across the sonic perspective of the record, but you also see that in the choice of songs, in the lyrical content, in the themes of those songs. I honestly felt like that record was the director's cut of what Blood and Glitter was all about. Now you can still find some commonalities in Disc 2. Sound-wise, it's very similar. The way those covers were created, the way the covers in Disc 1 were created, there's definitely a sense of cohesiveness between both records from that standpoint. But when you look at the lyrical content of the original songs, Disc 2 is a little bit further apart from where Disc 1 resides. And that is the main idea from my standpoint on how the structure of these 2 discs comes together. You can see the commonalities sonically, you can see where this record is going, you can see the traces back to Blood and Glitter, but then from a thematical standpoint, Disc 1 definitely way more connected than Disc 2. Once it comes to the pure sound of this record, this is Lord of the Lost. Very electronically driven, a lot of keyboards, a lot of synths, and that becomes a little bit of the spinal cord of every single song. Even when it comes to the drum sound, there's a lot of electronic drum sound on this record, which matches the essence of some of the original material here, bringing that essence into the forefront, just with a little bit more behind it. Either be a little bit more heaviness from the guitars, a little bit more oomph from the drums, or even a little bit more as far as the vocal delivery is concerned, using harsh vocals here and there, using different levels, and obviously Chris's tonality comes through in a very specific way. But sonically, this album is not that far apart. These covers are not that far apart from Blood and Glitter. That over electronic sound, that 80s infused electronic rock and roll that had foothold in that time period, very new wave, but still with goth elements in it that add a little bit of darkness to the way the songs come across, to the way the themes come across, and even in the vocal delivery you can see some of that darkness also peeking through. But the electronic side of this record is definitely one that stands out, and it becomes the common denominator. I honestly felt like this was very synth-driven record. Every single cover, both discs had that commonality between it. I didn't mind. I felt like that was the perfect segue from what Blood and Glitter offered musically, and for these songs that a lot of them had an 80s essence to it, it felt right at home. It just had that extra spice that Lord of the Lost gives to anything that they touch. Vocally, Chris is phenomenal. I think these songs are really catered for his tonality and for his vocal delivery. He makes the songs a little bit of his own, so he's able to deliver the tracks and deliver the lyrics with emotion, but his own emotion, sometimes slightly different from the original. Some of the original songs, when you listen to them, and I'll talk more about that when I go through my 3 favorite tracks, but some of them, they felt a little bit, almost a sense of despair, a sense of a future being too far away. There's a lot of unspoken darkness in some of these tracks. The way he delivers them a little bit different. He delivers them with a little bit more hope. The future is not that far away. The hole in the wall or the tunnel is not as dark. That light is always there, and you just have to kind of reach for it. So there's a little bit more hopefulness on his delivery, and that changes some of the context of the songs when you look at the originals versus these covers. But I think that's important in a song that reflects what the original had to offer. Changing perhaps the way you deliver the song vocally, or at least change the emotion in the vocals, allows you to give a different experience using the exact same lyrics. And I think that is one of the most important points that I took away from listening to these covers, specifically the ones on disc 1. Those ones feel to me more emotionally driven. They feel more emotionally connected, at least as a whole. I find disc 2 a little bit more disconnected from that emotional standpoint. Some songs are really cool to listen to. Some songs have that wow factor, but a lot of them don't have that emotional drive that you see constantly on every single song that disc 1 puts forward. Overall, it's nice to have all of these covers under one umbrella. I like this idea. Like I said, a little bit of a director's cut following Blood and Glitter, and I think this is the right time to kind of do an album like this that brings this more jovial atmosphere into the forefront, that allows them to be a little bit more diverse, that allows them to experience a little bit more, because I felt like Blood and Glitter was very experimental. It was really outside the box. So having this as the sequence of that makes sense versus bringing this in, for example, after Judas. It wouldn't have made any sense whatsoever. So things have to make sense in the sequence in which they're put forward. This record makes sense at this time, more so because now you have all of these great songs, all of these great covers in one single place. Now, as far as my favorite ones are concerned, I kept this 2 out of the question because they're all songs that you already heard, they've already been released. So it's easy for you to see where I'm coming from on those songs. So I want to give you a little bit of information about tracks that I really enjoyed in disc 1. One of them is already out as a single, but the other 2 I felt like really had that extra feels in them. And I want to start off with Smalltown Boy. When I heard about this record, this is one of the songs that I was really excited to hear. The original is from Bronski Beat. I'm a big fan of the original song. I think this is a track that fits the band really well. And I know that they had covered already this song, I believe acoustically, but not in this format. This is a great track. It pulls the original material into the forefront, infusing a more modern synth and keyboard sound to its overall essence, because it was there already in the original, but in the original was a very 80s infused synth sound, very new wave. They brought it the same melody, the same essence, but they changed and making it a little bit more modern, more Lord of the Lost. You still have the drums, you still have the guitars that add that rock presence to the track, that elevate the song, that give it a little bit more volume, making the track more impactful. Chris's vocals on this track are really warm, and they connect to the original message that the song had. I just find it that this is a track that perfectly explains what I was talking about earlier about his delivery, while being the same and having that warmth and connecting with the same lyrical content doesn't necessarily go to the same place that the original did. When I listen to the original song from Bronski Beat, I feel like there's a little bit of a sense of resignation. There's certain things in this world that you can't control, that you can't change. Doesn't matter how hard you try, doesn't matter how much you fight against them. In this song, I felt like Chris delivered those same words. The lyrics didn't change, they're exactly the same, but the message came across differently. It wasn't resignation, it was a little bit of empowerment. You don't need to change the world around you as long as you're comfortable with who you are. And the song, this way, with this sound, with this vocal performance, goes in that direction, using exactly the same lyrics as the original. Really interesting, just his tonality, the way he delivers, the way the song is put together, allows you to feel that you're stronger and not necessarily resigned. So I honestly feel like this track surpassed all my expectations coming in. Next we got Turbo Lover, Judas Priest cover, amazing cover. I wasn't looking at the track listing when I was listening to the record, and when this song started I was like, is this Judas Priest? Is this Turbo Lover? Makes total sense to have this song as part of the covers. I think it's a track that plays in to the whole Blood and Glitter. When I think about Turbo Lover, I think Blood and Glitter. So I think this track is perfect, is a perfect cover for them. Keeping the energy and the essence, the pissed off attitude, the swag. This song keeps the swag of the original while making it now more of a club anthem. I don't think you could listen to the original by Judas Priest in a club. I think it was a little bit detached from that, but this one you could totally listen to it in a club. It has that feel. It doesn't lose the drive, like I said, the swag of the original. It just takes that swag and it puts it in a different place. So now you created more of a club anthem, still with rock behind it. The guitars still have a bite and the drums still have a bite in this song in order to give that rock and roll, that Judas Priest feel. But the synths and the electronic elements all around, and even how the vocals come across, allow this to be a little bit more upbeat and allows it to be that more of a club anthem style track. Last but definitely not least, this song already came out as a single, I Just Died in Your Arms, Cutting Crew cover featuring Anica Russo. A duet that I wasn't expecting and that I really enjoyed. I honestly feel like it fits this song perfectly. I mean, it's one of those broken heart style songs. There's a lot of love gone wrong with this track, and I felt that listening to this song with two voices, having Anica and Chris together in this track, gave it a little bit more meaning. It made it a little bit more organic. It made it a little bit more natural. It gave a different vibe. It gave a different energy. It gave a different perspective, perhaps two perspectives, because there's always, it takes two to tango, right? So like this song feels more complete in this format. I love the original. I absolutely love the original. It's one of those feels kind of song, but this track being a duet, having that electronic sound, having that more upbeat experience, you're able to tell a sad story and still dance to it. That's how this track comes across, and the duet, that vocal performance, is absolutely phenomenal. This is it, Lord of the Lost, Weapons of Mass Seduction, out December 29th on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles, on the songs, on the covers. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.